Welcome, everybody, to Welcome Back to America. I am DB Frick.
He is.
I am. That's Millie Micheals. She does the news stuff around here. We've got a couple of great guests today. We've got Elke Reid. Elke Reid, very funny lady, child actress, adult comedian, which makes her sound like she does adult jokes, but no, she's just an adult who happens to be a comedian.
And she likes to judge people.
She's judgy. You'll find that out in the interview. We also have Ed Tyll, broadcasting legend. Ed Tyll. He's going to talk about Florida comedy, and, we got all that coming up. So this week, Florida is our comedy area of the world that we're going to.
Yeah, F you, go Gators.
Yeah.
Hey, F you, yeah.
F you University. I used to think that about Boston University, BU. And then Fordham was FU, and Adelphi was appropriately AU.
AU, I like it.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about Florida,
Yay.
the Sunshine State. Beautiful. Look at that. It is the most southerly state of
America's
the United States.
penis.
Do you see one there? I don't. Anyway.
Only me.
So in Florida, it's a sunshine state, yes. Beautiful beaches in Florida. Gorgeous. Oh, my goodness. Spring break, 365 days a year for all ages. Look at everybody. Party, party, party. Floridians like to live for today. Doesn't matter the dire consequences. Just have fun.
Look at that belly. Look at that belly. He doesn't care.
Pandemic? Who's she?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody has any
So, Florida is known for sinkholes.
I thought it was stinkholes.
No, sinkholes. Look at that. It's like a swimming pool. Or a watering hole. They have tons of watering holes. Look at these kids having fun.
Well,
and now it's famous for a-holes.
Oh, well,
There you go. He's from Florida. Who knew?
There's a lot of a-holes in Florida. They're a problem. Florida can be a problem. Every state's a problem.
Yes,
though.
there's a lot of transients there. A lot of New Yorkers in Florida, so we don't want to say...
She said transients, by the way. She didn't say anything that should be offensive in any way.
There's a lot of famous Floridians.
Yeah, lots of famous people.
Let's start out with Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison?
He invented the light bulb. Yeah, look at him. And then there's Ernest Hemingway.
Really?
An author who...
He's one of my favorites. He used to be a writer on this show. We fired him last season.
Yes, he was very nice, I guess. But he had a lot of good light bulb moments, Ernest.
Yeah,
yes.
He's a smart guy, great writer.
Yes. Then there's Ariana Grande, who likes to wear... She's an entertainer. She likes to wear the light bulbs.
She's one of the most important people of the 21st century.
Yes. And then, of course, beloved... Burt Reynolds. He was just electrifying.
Yeah.
Look at that face.
He died 2 years ago and was actually just laid to rest last week.
Why?
In Florida. I don't know why it took a long time. It just took a long time to get his body to rest.
Poor Burt. He probably requested that. He wanted extra makeup or something.
Yeah, he probably did. I love Burt Reynolds.
Yeah,
You take that back now. You say a mean thing about Burt
I didn't say
Reynolds.
anything mean about Burt.
I will cut you with this.
Wow. And I'm going to stab you with this. Anyway... So in Florida, the Coast Guards actually pulled over a tiki hut. Somebody was driving a tiki hut, and it was pulled over because, why, Dan? Because it's a tiki hut.
Right.
That's why. The man was, when they got aboard, they found that he was drinking, of course. I mean, who else is going to drive a tiki hut?
It seems like the perfect opportunity for SpongeBob SquarePants to have like a restaurant.
Yes.
Like a floatable restaurant, and they just sell Krabby Patties and
pineapple houses.
Pineapple
yeah.
houses.
So the message is do not drink and drive a tiki hut because you're gonna get pulled over.
There's no way there's a law about that, but sure they're working on it.
There was a Vero Beach woman who went at 4 a.m. She was 19 years old, went to go get a big order of like chicken nuggets, and she just wanted every single type of dipping sauce. She should get that. She wanted,
sure.
But no, they wanted to charge her 25 cents per. She was not loving it. She was not loving them, and she started banging on stuff and.
I'm hating it.
She threatened to take the sauce no matter what the means. So she ended up getting arrested, and then she found out there was a lot of dipping sauces there at the jail.
Imagine having to tell people, like as they're talking about in prison, what they got arrested for, and you're like, dipping sauces.
this.
Oh, really? That's one badass mofo. He got pulled in for dipping sauces.
Yes. Did you get the barbecue?
Yeah,
Hopefully,
it's a big one.
yeah, it's a
Love
biggie.
that barbecue.
In more fast food news, there was a Largo man who did not receive the lettuce on his sandwich. Evidently, look at him, he's pissed. He was jailed for that because he was he did not want to be arrested, and then because he did not remain calm.
Romaine calm because of the lettuce.
So let us move on to the next one.
That's just absurd that there's so many, they'll get people want lettuce so bad that they're willing to go to jail for it, to a place where there's not going to be much lettuce.
And there's a lot of recalls on romaine lettuce. Really, maybe there was a recall.
Oh yeah, if you're going to find E. coli in anything, it's going to be green leafy vegetables.
At Checkers.
100%. Watch out, people. Don't be careful about your green leafy vegetables.
Yes. I don't know. Can we see the next picture? I don't know if you're aware of this banana that was sold
of course.
for $120,000.
Yeah.
Is that amazing? Well, there's a woman, of course, in Florida that found a chicken nugget that looks like a manatee. And she is now selling it for $5,000 on Facebook Marketplace. So get out there, people, so you can purchase it.
Imagine buying that for $5,000 and eating it. And, I mean,
No.
that's just a great way to have excess money to spend it on one nugget.
And honestly, that manatee looked like the nugget was laying on the bottom of that fry basket for a while.
They need to talk to the lady about the barbecue sauces.
Yes.
That's what they need to do.
They should hook up.
Yeah.
So the last picture we have here is about a Key West man. He just bought an $8 million house on a private island, which is gorgeous. And then he went ahead and went to Kmart and stole $300 worth of household products.
And he got arrested for that.
And he got arrested for that. He tried to bring back a coffee pot that inside the box was a basketball.
They should have something every year in Florida where they let's find out who can get arrested for the stupidest thing, the least swallowing too many of these or something.
Yes,
I don't know.
it sounds about right for spring break.
Stay tuned for the rest of our show. We got something else. You said last picture.
No, last picture because now I'm going to do about insane Florida laws.
Oh, right. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to skip.
There's insane Florida laws going on.
I was insane trying to skip that.
The first law that I found was you need a license to ride a skateboard. Evidently, this guy needs a license.
Yeah, look at him.
He must not have one because he's not doing good on that.
He makes me uncomfortable. I'm sure he also makes himself uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's looking uncomfortable. The next law I found was that you cannot parachute on Sunday if you are an unmarried woman.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
I mean, anybody should be allowed to jump out of a plane, married or not.
Not women.
Why?
Not women.
Why?
For the same reason they're not allowed to vote.
Oh my God, that's how old this law is it went back then. The next one is this will probably apply to you, Dan. You're not allowed to wear swimwear and go out and sing in public, because I know you like to do that.
I'm never going to Florida again. That's like my pastime.
What do people do for birthday parties? Are you going to sing happy birthday? You're not allowed to because you're in your swimwear?
I find it so hard to believe no one's ever performed a show in Florida in a bikini. That just doesn't sound like a possible thing.
I'm thinking that they're all rule breakers, and no, you know what I mean? They're swimming, they're singing, they're whatever.
I like the rule breakers.
Yeah, they're there.
I like the rule breakers.
In Miami, you're not.
Miami.
In Miami, there is no farting after 6 p.m., people. That includes SBDs, I think. Silent but deadly.
I imagine, that I will probably not make it to Miami ever. I've farted 5 times since I've been sitting here.
Yes.
It's what keeps the show so awesome.
Yeah, so awesome. There's also a fine given to anyone sleeping under a hairdryer. $50 fine. Well, there goes your 50-cent tip.
Yeah, that lady is not sleeping.
Or even the salon owner will get charged if anybody's sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last one that is really crazy is that if you have an elephant and you hook them up to a parking meter, you have to pay the parking meter.
Well, okay.
If that's not an insane law, back in 1917, they used elephants to build a causeway. So that's, I guess people were parking them.
I wonder if they unionized. Thank you, Millie, for all your hard work.
Oh,
That
you're
was great.
welcome.
We
My
learned
pleasure.
so much about Florida. I didn't know that much about Florida. Now I know it.
Now we
Now
know.
maybe I'll win trivia night sometime in Florida.
Yeah.
If they ever allow me back.
Don't wear your swimwear.
Check out Elke Reid. Very funny lady. We got Ed Tyll.
Very funny guy.
Very funny guy. And we also got other magical stuff coming up. Check out Welcome Back to America.
Get ready for the magic.
Stay tuned. What magic? There's magic?
The magical moments. You said magical moments.
Did I say magical moment? Oh, I didn't mean that.
Oh, okay.
Hey, everybody. It is DB Frick here once again. It's Welcome Back to America once again. And we have an interview with a wonderful person once again. This young lady I met several years ago while she was working with the Pit and doing some improv with them with a group called Latinx. And I had the opportunity, Latinx, right, Latinx. Latinx. I'll never get it right. I'll try. I'm a white guy in his mid-40s. I loved these shows so much that I had the opportunity to write a couple of reviews about them. And a friend of mine, Joe Rocha, who introduced me to Elke several years ago, was a very good friend of mine, an incredible writer, and as I'm sure she would agree, an incredible performer. But ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the very funny Elke Reid. Elke TV Reid.
Or just Elke Reid.
It's really awesome to have you today. We've been able to do we haven't seen each other in a year and a half or two at least, but we've had the opportunity to perform together on a show in England, out of England, called Extreme Improv. And that's been a lot of fun to do that together. You play some incredible characters in that, and maybe we'll be lucky enough to pull some of those characters out during this interview. But the interview is mostly about what got you into performing, when you got into it, who it was that pushed you, if anybody did. Was it you pushing yourself? Where was it? Why was it? How was it? You know, let me know about the whole story.
Well, I've been a performer practically all my life. So I'm an only child, and I was a latchkey kid since I was 8. Okay. So for those who don't know what a latchkey kid is, I don't know if this new generation knows. It's children that had their own key and would come home on their own and open the door with their own key and would be home alone. I don't know if it was legal back then, but nobody reported it. But yeah, I was 8 years old. But I only lived like 6 blocks away from my school. So my mother, single mother, she worked 2 jobs. So she would come home late, like, 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I would be left to fend for myself a lot. And I used to create like little scenarios. Like I was, Johnny Carson was on back then. So I used to be on the couch and interviewed by Johnny Carson for my latest project. Or I'd see a commercial or something and I would judge. I was very judgy back then on the performance of the actors on like a TV show or a movie, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was terrible. I could do it better. So then I would recreate it in my own way. And I thought it was better than what they did. So I've always been like, a performer. Like I've always been like on. I don't know. It's
you seem to have learned through like mimicry. You were trying to mimic the people that you would see on those shows, like.
No.
Okay.
Like I said, I was judging them, saying that I could do better. So I wasn't mimicking them. I was doing what they did, but in a better way.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right. No, of course.
Yeah.
So more like American Idol. It was more like you judging people who are going on the show.
Call it what you want. I was basically saying I can do that, but better. So yeah. So that's I think that's where my judgy ways started. But also I come from a very judgy family, so who knows where it started. But I would do that, and I noticed my mother would would be around my mother's friends or whatever, and I'd do something, and my mother's friends would be like, "Oh my God, you should get her in something." You know how friends or like other people see your child being so expressive. They're like, "Oh my God, you need to put her in something, do something with this." So people would tell my mother that. So I started, like when I was 10, I started going on auditions. My mother got me an agent, got headshots, and I actually got a commercial, and an AT&T commercial when I was 11 years old. And the way I knew that this is what I wanted to do was because when I found out the date that they were filming the commercial, it coincided with my because in California where I went to school, my elementary school went up to 6th grade. So a lot of elementary schools nowadays only go up to 5th because now so it went up to 6th grade. So I was a senior, and we had our senior picture that day. And my mother was like, "You need to make a choice. You either want to do," because I was like, "Oh man, that's the same day as my picture." My mother was like, "Well, you need to think about it. What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to do the commercial." So I did the commercial, but I lost out on a bigger part because I wasn't there to get the phone call on the weekend. It's a long story, but yeah, I was able to get a smaller role on the commercial. I still got the commercial, but the bigger role was lost to me because I didn't get the phone call in time. But so I did the commercial, and then I was doing a lot of auditions, but I wasn't getting anything. I actually auditioned for that movie with Rodney Dangerfield called Ladybugs. Do you remember that movie?
Of course I remember that. Yes, the kid. Yes.
Yes, I auditioned for the token Latina role of Maria. I didn't get it. I probably wasn't Latina enough. Back then it was a different time.
Sure.
Because after all, it was a movie about a little boy pretending to be a girl to get on the soccer team. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Something like that. It's still great to be in that history.
Yeah. I mean, I love telling people that story. I was almost in that movie. That well, people who haven't made it yet, they like claiming to things that they've almost.
Yeah, I've got a lot of almosts.
And I'm sure you brag about them too, right?
I do all the time. I nonstop. The more I get trolled, the more I brag about it.
Right. Yes. I've seen your Facebook post. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So fast forward to so I was auditioning a lot, and then it was like, my mother, she's a single mother, so it was hard for her to take me all these auditions. So I started focusing on school, and then when I was 15, we moved to because I went to a performing arts junior high school in California. And then we moved to New York. So
which
for
one?
High school
is the one? Which one? There's a few. I know the one in like West Hollywood or like.
There's one in Pacoima. It's the one Richie Valens went to. Christina Applegate, Punky Brewster was there. for like a day.
Okay.
She didn't like it. She was getting like picked on, so she was like, "Oh, I don't like the school."
Yeah.
I wasn't there when they went, but these are the stories I've heard. But it was it was a performing arts junior high, and it was cool. Like I got to experience a lot that I wouldn't have otherwise. You know what I mean? Because my mother couldn't take me to a lot of things, so I still got to be in that world in a way without going to the audition, because I stopped auditioning after like 11. So but then when I was 15, me and my mother, we moved back to New York, because I'm originally from New York, but my mother had moved to California when she got married. So, and then I went to, and the high school I went to was Fame, the one from the movie.
Where my father went to, yes.
Yes, LaGuardia. I went to LaGuardia. And no, it's not in Queens, near the airport, which a lot of people, I don't know.
No, it's near the 59th Street Bridge. It's right there by the 59th Street Bridge.
Yeah, it is, I guess. It's not right near, but it's close to it. It's on the 64th and Amsterdam. So yeah. But I went there and,
okay.
huh?
There's also a Fiorello LaGuardia College that's on the border by the 59th Street Bridge.
Okay, yeah, that's not.
Yeah. Okay.
Where I went.
Yeah, no, my father, I thought when you said LaGuardia, that's what I thought, but I thought it was called the High School for the Performing Arts.
It is, but it was named after Fiorello H. LaGuardia, because LaGuardia was the man back in the day. He had everything named after him.
He was a tiny little fat guy. He was great. Apparently had a lot of energy.
He had a lot of top energy. Look at that. So I went there, and it was great. I got to experience a lot of things. I actually graduated with Khalees. I don't know if familiar with her work.
The name sounds familiar, yes.
The singer. Yeah. I hate you so much right now.
Yeah, I know you're talking about, of course.
Yeah, and Rick Gonzalez, he's done a couple of TV shows. He's on Arrow. Okay. He's a Latino guy on Arrow. So yeah, I not to name drop anymore, but so I went to that school, and I don't know. It's like the pressure to go to college was like, by my family and my mother. My mother and her sisters had this like competition, like whose kids are gonna do it. And I was older than a lot of them. Like my other aunts' kids, they didn't go to college. They all dropped out of high school. So it was like I was next in line. So my mother was like, yeah, she's gonna be the one. I could brag about her. So I went to college. I didn't want to. So naturally, I didn't finish. I did 2 years, racked up a lot of debt, and I joined the Navy.
Okay, I vaguely remember you talking about that way back. Yeah. How long did you do that?
I was in the Navy for 3 years. I didn't really want to be in the Navy either, but I saw a banner online saying up to $10,000 in loan repayment, student loan repayment, and I ended up getting screwed, not literally, but like figurative, screwed by my recruiter, because that was supposed to be in my signing contract when I signed up, and it wasn't. I didn't get the Navy college fund because I got a high ASVAB score, which is like the SATs for the military to see what jobs you can do. I got a high ASVAB. I could have gotten a signing bonus. I didn't get any of that. And I found out in boot camp, and I was like, I don't want to be here. So boot camp, that was the beginning. So, I ended up doing 3 years, and then I got out, and I got out 2002, and I came back to New York. This was all in Virginia. So my college was Old Dominion. I did 2 years in Old Dominion, and then down the street was the naval base. That's why I thought I could do both. Like I could pay for my college and go to Navy. So I spent 5 years in Virginia altogether, from 18 to 20. Yeah, 23. I got to do the math in my head. To 2002. So I got out. I came back to New York, And I was like, man, what am I gonna do? So I went, I got a job I was the assistant manager at Rite Aid, and it was cool. You know, I was doing my thing. I was getting lazy though, and I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I wanted to get into something, but I didn't know what. So for years, like I was just like, you know, working jobs and just nothing. And then like I started getting back into. I started looking up like stuff on Craigslist, like okay, huh?
I did a lot of that. Yes, I spent a lot of time. I got a lot of great gigs out of Craigslist.
I did. Like I forgot when it was. I believe it was 06, 05. No, because I also got into real estate, which is I got my real estate license. I was renting apartments. And then like the next year I had to pay taxes on it. I was like, okay, I ain't doing real estate no more. Because you know everything is commission, so you're getting everything like off, you know, face value. You're getting what you get.
Yeah, I'm worried about my taxes this year.
No taxes come out of it. So the next year I found out that I had to pay taxes. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I was like, I don't want to do real estate no more. So you know, I was looking at Craigslist. I was like, something's missing. I want to get back into it. I feel stuck. So I saw this ad for looking for females for a sketch group. So I was like, oh, let's do this. So I go and I met this guy, a comedian, a stand-up comedian. You might have heard of him, Dave Lester.
Of course, yes, Dave Lester.
Yes. At the time, he was hosting a show at the Five Spot in Brooklyn. And he had like a little community of people. That's where I met Pedro Lee. I don't know if you know Pedro as well. He's big in improv too with the Armory. But I met they were doing it was like he had like a stand-up like a tribe of people that he would do like sketches with, and they would try sketches, and they wanted more females. And so I came and we did like a couple of sketches, but I ended up mainly just helping him produce his stand-up shows, and that's what it turned into. Every once in a while we would make a promo video for the show, but I became like his associate producer. Like I'd work the doors. So I came through a lot of stand-ups. I met a lot of stand-up comedians, like Eric Andre used to come through there.
He's a busy guy.
Michelle Buteau, like, you know, like a lot of stand-ups that I see out there. Yamanika Sanders,
Yeah.
Nikki Sun.
That's what I've always found about the scene in New York City, was that if you just went to open mics, you were going to meet these people. You were going to meet them no matter what. Like, so you're kind of like, I went to open mics and Dave Chappelle was doing stand-up and Neil Brennan, and there were mics where like even Seinfeld and Robin Williams would show up and do a set, and maybe too long of a set. And that's a long time ago. That was like 20 years ago that the Seinfeld and Robin Williams stuff happened, and Chappelle and so but it was like the best way to network was to go to open mics, and you'd actually meet. I met Michelle, I met Eric over the years. You know, it's amazing what it can do. You're in Florida right now too, right? Currently
I am.
In Florida. And there's actually a lot of comedy in Florida. There's a pretty popular place there's a Yuck Yucks, and then there's McCurdy's, which is there's a few comedy clubs that are called McCurdy's around there. But you've been working with a couple of things called the Black Improv Alliance.
Couple of things.
And the socially distanced shows you've been doing too. I want you to finish your story, but I also
I'll wrap it up.
The episode is done from the angle of being in Florida, so I just wanted to bring a little bit of that into what we're talking about. But I want you to keep on going with the pit too. I know. Well,
yeah. So just fast forward, like I was working with him, and then you know, I stopped because I lived at the time I was living in the Bronx, and the commute to Brooklyn, and it was the G train. I don't know, any New Yorkers watching will understand what I'm talking about, the G train.
That was a deal breaker. The G train is a deal breaker. Yeah.
So that's how committed I was. Every Tuesday night I would go on that G train every week. So yeah, and so fast forward to a couple years, I met a comedian who worked with the New York Comedy Club. His name was Christopher Delatorre. And I started, because I ended up starting doing my own shows. I started producing my own shows in Harlem, my own stand-up comedy shows, and I would bring stand-ups that I knew from meeting Dave. And I met Chris Delatorre, and he little fact, he did a joke on one of my shows about his mother being a crackhead. So I the next time he came on the show, I introduced him as the crack baby of comedy, and he stuck with that.
That's
and
funny.
He kept calling himself the crack
Great.
baby of comedy. So he heard about these free jams at the Pit. This was like in the late 2010, early 2011. And he was like, yo, you should come with me. They're free. Because I always wanted to get into improv, but I didn't want to have to pay. Like, I'm cheap.
Right.
I'm super cheap.
I avoid paying for stuff too.
So he said free. I was like, I'm there. So we would go, and I was like, I like this. And I would end up going every week. And he kind of fell off because he couldn't make it every week. But every week I was there, and I became a fixture. And they opened up another jam, which I started going to. And then I ended up becoming the co-host of, and eventually the host. But I was hosting it with other people, but like it was basically my jam. So basically I hosted a jam, 3 different jams at the Pit for like 8 years.
That's great. I've been to other jams.
Huh?
I went to a bunch of jams over a certain amount of time, mostly because of Joe, who I brought up before.
Yeah, and so through being at the Pit a lot, you know, one of the improvisers, Destiny Rivera, he's Puerto Rican, and he was like, let's start a Latinx show with just, you know, Latinx performers. So I was part of that, and that's how Joe, I met Joe as well. I met Joe through the jams, but I really got to know Joe when we got in the group, and then that's, you know, he brought you to one of the shows, and that's how I met you. So so then, you know, that Pit was like years ago. I stopped going after a while because it got, you know, there's a lot of politics involved with the Pit, and you know, and their leader. I'm not going to go into it.
No, I know there's always a lot of stories about any comedy club has a lot of history, that's negative and positive. So I totally get it. And we won't disparage anyone here today.
But needless to say, our show, which was a diversity show, which was featured a lot of the Latinx performers that perform at the Pit, wasn't promoted well, and we did it for over a year, and we didn't feel like we were getting enough support, so we stopped doing it there. It kind of fell off. So then I just started, you know, doing like my own thing. Like I don't know, it's kind of like a blur. I still kept going to like stuff because I like 2019 is when I stopped.
Interesting.
Like around then, yeah. So so then, you know, the pandemic happened. I started doing, and then, you know, the pandemic happened. Right. Which would you think would be a bad thing, because, you know, they closed the theaters, but, you know, this online world is like great. You could perform with people from all over the world, which great. I start like in July, I saw the ad for Extreme Improv, and I was like, yes. Any opportunity to perform, I was on it. It didn't matter what it was. I was like, yes, because I could do it from my phone. Like, yes. And then, you know, I told you about it, you know, one of the shows. It's been a great. Now you're a fixture in it. So it's like, I gotta say, the Extreme Improv community is like one of the best improv communities I've ever been a part of. It's so supportive and welcoming.
They're great. I really enjoy working with them. In our last couple of minutes, I want you to talk about the things you've been doing. We mentioned the Black Improv Alliance and Socially Distanced. So,
well, Well, with Black Improv Alliance, I performed in a jam with them the other night, and I performed with some of the players from that alliance in other shows that I can't even remember because
yeah, there's so many people.
Not even that. There's so many different shows that because of this online world that everybody's a part of, like from all over the world, like. It's kind of hard to remember which show it was, but yeah.
Meeting people I would have never met otherwise. I interviewed someone out in India and someone out in Sri Lanka, and wouldn't normally do that. So it's been an incredible opportunity. In the last minute, talk about where people can go see you.
Well, I'm usually every week performing with Extreme Improv. They have they have tons of shows throughout the week. Actually, I'm starting a new show with one of the other extreme improvisers, Assad Khan. Me and Assad are doing the Elke and Assadi show, which is going to be a weekly show on Extreme Improv Network, which will feature extreme improv performers doing duo sets.
That's really cool. Like that.
Yes, and it's going to be every Tuesday, 5:30 their time. So it would be 12:30 my time. I'm on the East Coast, so figure it out what time it will be. But anywhere else, I'm at Elke TV. You can see my name at Elke TV on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, all of those.
Awesome. Elke Reid, thank you for coming down today. It was a great conversation. I appreciate your history was rich, and I look forward to hearing more. No longer than anybody else's. I really appreciate the information. I loved hearing about you, and knowing a little more about you is great. Thanks for checking out Welcome Back to America. I am DB Frick. That is Elke Reid, and I will be back right after this. Hey everybody, it's DB Frick here. It's Welcome Back to America. It's Monday at 10 again. Thanks for checking us out. As you know, we've been going all around the world and all around the country to get different feedback on what the comedy scene is like in different areas. And this week we're going to Florida, and we have someone who's really has been in this game a long time. I interviewed him last season. It's very funny. He has a show out in Florida called the Ed Tyll Show on Florida Man Radio, which is at Gainesville and Orlando, 105.5 and 660 AM. This guy has worked with Larry King. He worked with Rush Limbaugh. I don't think he worked with Larry Flint, but hopefully that those guys all died.
Larry Flint's been on the show. I've had Larry Flint as a guest.
So he has met Larry Flint, and Ed Tyll is maybe the next guy in that group. We've got to put him in I hate to say it, but you might be in my death pool.
I think I'm the leading candidate in everybody's death pool. If you do the math, I mean, it all started with Van Halen. The guy was younger than me. That's all that has to happen, is one cowboy at the bar, younger than you, gets shot dead to the floor, and you're drinking like, oh my, I better finish my bourbon. So, it's very eerie that my friend and mentor, Larry King, not only passes away, but it was a mystical COVID-19 not death.
Right.
Died, had beaten the COVID, wound up passing away coincidental with that's rough. to handle, right? But now he's arguing with his ex-wife from the grave about his will. I love this about Larry King. This is so Larry King. He hand wrote a will about 2 years ago. Years and years before that, had a big typed up will from a lawyer. But 2 years ago, sketches out a pen and paper exactly what he wants. His beautiful wife divorces him in his last couple of years when he's been sickly, but they still visit one another. They're still friends. So out of nowhere now, she would like to contest what he wrote on a piece of paper 2 years ago. Come on, where's Dean Martin and the Gold Diggers when you need them? You know what I mean? Like, come on, lady.
Right. I would assume that he got that notarized. As long as he got that notarized, it should be a legal document.
Knowing Larry, I bet he didn't. But it's his handwriting. In other words, she knows full well that's what he wants. Not to mention, 2 of his kids just passed away. This is all about how much money the kids get. So 2 kids were eliminated from getting more money. Should make her feel better. But no, she has to go in now and contest what the kids are getting. So that's a Larry King story, heartbreak. Limbaugh is hard to believe. It's going to take a while. This is like if Metallica crashed somewhere far away on the globe and they said, Metallica's gone. Really? Well, they were down in Australia. The plane went down. You're just never going to. So all of a sudden, he's not around. Now, what a babe of a wife. Did you catch the speech there?
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing. So I was impressed with him, even in death.
No matter what, whether you like him or not, and I'm not a huge fan of Rush, but you can't deny his impact on the broadcasting world and how many listeners. He must have had 50 million listeners a week up until months ago or whenever. I don't know if he even stopped doing his show at all before he was ill.
It's funny you're bringing this up. His last show was February 2nd, it turns out to be. But I heard shows prior to Feb 2, but less than a month ago, where it was hard for me to listen. And it was a recording, we're on at the exact same time. I've been competitors with him for eons and decades, but it didn't sound like him. Look, this is controversial, but I might as well say it to you. I have a problem with all celebrity death in public. Alex Trebek, no good in my book. Bad. Beautiful life career. Bad to go to the public, tell them what you're dying of, make them watch you die, describe your disease, give them updates on your chemo. This is wrong.
Right.
It's terrible to do to people. They think, you know what they think? Since Ralph Nader, this helps other people. If you would go out there and take your personal life and just put it all out there, somebody else will do the right thing. I've never believed that. I believe that people do the right thing based on the right thing, not because a celebrity did something, but displaying your misery and then your own death is, to me, that's pathological. Do you know what I support to offset that? I'll tell you what the right way is. And society thinks this is Looney Tunes, and I think this is spot on. Would you know the name Hunter Thompson, the great journalist?
Of course.
He blew his brains out when his illness got to the point where he lost the joy of life with no ceremony. I'll let you guys know. You'll hear the shot. Come and get rid of me. Totally. Hemingway also. I'll say when it's over. I'm not going to sit here and waste away in public and be some kind of morbid spectacle. So I've said it, and I already apologize to the people. I can't believe but it is a morbid spectacle. It could be a symptom of narcissism. It has no public good. It serves no good. It's a self-worshiping negative lump, and I wish it wouldn't happen. But maybe I'm wrong. Go ahead. What do you think?
We're going to segue from the public good. And one of the things that I believe is in the public good is to have a place like comedy clubs to go to and see stand-up and see different right. things. And one of the things that you really know about, you've been in Florida for a while now, you have a pretty good grasp on the comedy scene down there as a broadcaster and someone who's been a stand-up comedian. And what is it like down there right now? And do you know anything about clubs opening?
Yeah, that is so tough. Before knowing we were going to talk about this, I wanted to know myself again, what's going on out there? How are you guys doing? It's very quiet. So the idea of the familiar comedy scene coming back, that's really not on the horizon. Here's what's great though. Florida, and I guess other states enjoy this, but Florida knows how to do this. There are more dockside, seaside, open outdoor bars that are getting a clue now that you can get 15 people in there and call up the guitar player and call up the comedian. They will come running down and give you a fun afternoon, but it's going to be a mini experience because watch how you're sitting with the mask, what we're only offering, a limited menu today. Be patient with our one waitress. There's the only one we can. There's so much of Scotch tape keeping it together. But what's beautiful is the organic appetite for the show, to have a live show, to see the comedian up there, to hear the guitar coming up. That appetite is overcoming the fear and the inertia. You can feel humans squeezing through safely. On the other, I heard one song and then we had to leave, because they're gonna inevitably be there. So that's what's beautiful about down here. We've had 88-degree days. We just had an 88-degree day the other day.
And it snowed 5 inches just now. It's snowed.
My girlfriend says the same thing, but it's nothing to do with the weather. The snow up there, down here, makes people excited. We get very excited when it snows. About, oh my God, we should go out just because. We should get out there and enjoy it.
Right. They're not saying the same thing in Texas right now, though. No. They're not used to storms at all like this.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's a really terrible thing. I'd wonder how, when there is bad weather, how it affects the comedy scene at all.
Forget it.
Everything's outside, so if it rains,
you don't have to do. It's the first. No matter how much you need it, it's the first thing you're not going to do, right? And it breaks my heart to say this, but if they were triaging, prioritizing who needed help right now, they're not going to say, comedy club guys, come to the front. We know you're really hurting. We're going to hook you up.
Right. No.
Get behind the diner. You're going to get behind the dive bar. It's one of the least appreciated areas of essential work. But I would say putting people in a good mood and giving them psychological relief, that is an essential worker.
We're going to start doing shows from the dumpsters of the behind restaurants soon. It'd be a great place to get an audience. At least it's different. Have you been able to see any shows in the last year? Have you seen anything? Have you watched these?
Not in person, but I have seen 2 shows. I'll tell you how. On the way down, when we were shutting down here the first time, all of the television stations ran out and caught the last of everything. So I actually saw TV coverage of a Daytona Beach live comedy show, and I saw it was happening, and it was sad because already the apprehensive tone and mood had settled in. The audience was like a quarter filled. It looked like it was slipping away, right? And now I saw one, we're already in the 3rd week of February. 1st week of February, somebody put one up, and it was like I described before. It was a tiny crowd, but they had it on a dock right next to the boats. You could tell they were using the wind and everything they could to stay disease-free. And that crowd looked so happy. They were laughing their ass off. I couldn't hear what the comics were doing, but it was coverage of this happy event. So that's what I've seen, everywhere else right now. I hate to say, because I don't want to reinforce it. All I'm saying is you can feel it wanting to come back.
How do you feel about the governor there? Do you have any problems with DeSantis, or do you feel?
I don't know. I don't like any of these guys because, their job is to make you, calm you down, whether things are good or not, right? They have to calm you down. They don't want panic in the street. His approach is good for comedy. He will make sure entrepreneurs are heard from. He's one of these guys that's all about business. So all he needs is one article in the paper, hand it to him as the governor about a comedy club or this or that. And right away, he's the kind of governor, you pick up the phone. Hey, what is going on with you guys? What do you guys need? What's your situation? Right. So he's an accessible, business-oriented governor. That's the best you're going to get, I think.
Okay. I buy that. I really don't know much about him. I know that he gets a lot of guff and they give him a hard time. He's very visual in the media. I wouldn't be surprised if he is someone who at least tries to run for president.
He brought him up already. Somebody else already brought him up for 2024 for exactly what you said. The Florida governor is always eligible for president now. You get that state, and if you're doing well in Florida, you make the national news. If you're doing poorly in Florida, you make the national news. So you could pull it off. He could.
What are the some of the funnier in our last few minutes? What are some of the funnier Florida man type things that you've heard in Florida? Florida gets a lot of guff once again for being kind of a crazy state where a lot of crazy crap happens.
Right. We are crazy.
Like a guy wrestling an alligator and then becoming friends with him somehow. I don't know.
Or having a baby with the alligator, going all the way, marrying it. Right. Kind of.
Right. What, do you have anything that comes to mind that you think is like particularly crazy about Florida and what happens there?
There's so many to choose from right now. Let's make sure I could yank out a really great one. This is a name that people are going to know. About a year and a half ago, the mayor of Tallahassee wanted to run for governor. Say, well, who's this guy? Okay, it's some guy, right? How would you know that Tallahassee? Nobody's going to know that guy. He shows up and, oh, look at that, a normal guy. And he was an Obama, not look-alike, but silhouette. Tall, handsome, good-looking African-American guy. Say, wow, this guy's going to clean up. This guy he's going to kill the room. He wants to move up. Oh yeah, he's doing a great job in Tallahassee. They like him. He's popular, and he's got ambitions. Okay. So if I tell you the next morning he wakes up in a cheap hotel, he's married with 2 kids with a gay hooker, and he's full of crystal meth, and his underwear is off. And they got him like in the prone position wearing bunny ears. All of this is on the news. You have to say, well, where'd that happen? That has to be Florida. Where else would anyone put that much energy into destroying their normal life?
Right.
Florida. That's Florida man. That's a Florida man right there.
That's Florida man.
How's everything going? I got a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, beautiful home. Where are you? Well, I got a gay hooker over on the other side of town. And once I do some crystal meth, I could work my way into banging this hooker. How are the kids? Well, the kids are watching Sesame Street right now. They're fine. Don't worry about the kids. Having a birthday party with their friends at the house. And what are you doing? Well, I've almost got this meth cooked up because this gay hooker is late. What is that? How do you, I understand you make it up and you tell a story, but how do you live that day?
Yeah, it's up there with, the mayor of DC smoking crack, and then that guy in Toronto, the really fat mayor in Toronto. What is it about mayors?
Something, or is it Ray Liotta in Goodfellas driving around with that helicopter? He's still making the sauce. We're still going to see how the pork comes out. I got to put these pork chops. It's the same thing. Like, how do you live that? Yeah, that's my question. So Florida man strikes again.
Ed Tyll, thank you so much for coming on today and talking a little bit about Florida. This is awesome. If you
Dan, you got a great show. I love when you come on our show on Florida Man Radio. It's always a lot of fun to have you. Thanks for having me on today, man.
Yeah, check out every Monday from 12 to 3 on Florida Man Radio. You can hear Ed Tyll, so go check him out. Welcome back to America. I'm DB Frick, and we'll be back right after this.
Me llaman Dan Pablo y hace más de 20 años me enamoré de una colombiana. Viajé a su país y conocí un estilo de café muy distinto, muy especial. Ahora tostamos cafés excelentes, con alturas y microclimas diferentes, resultado en una taza muy compleja y muy rica. Un sabor nuevo en el mundo. Fue un éxito. And I even got to keep the girl.
Tonight, on In the Frick of the Night, I'm going to talk about some stories of my father. When I was about 6, we had this beautiful parakeet we called Pretty Bird. We're playing with Pretty Bird. Pretty Bird was great. Pretty Bird was accidentally left on the radiator one Thanksgiving night in its 5th year by my father, who had drank too much that night. So the next morning we woke up to a cooked parakeet. We did not eat that for Thanksgiving. Let me tell you something else about my dad. I was once online at a bank with my father, and the line moved, and I didn't, and then I grabbed the hand of the man in line without realizing it wasn't my dad. And then I realized it was my dad because he held my hand. My father once told me at family gatherings that he'd rather me not call him Dad. Just kind of saw me more as a friend. When I was a kid, I was forced into a lot of sports. Football, basketball, baseball, tennis, you name it. I was forced into it. Got to the point in Little League where the coach actually wanted me to take one for the team. He wanted me to get hit by the ball. The weird thing about it was bowling. But that was fine, because when I'd get home, I'd have like 7 or 8 bruises, and my father would see that, and he'd think he already beat me and go straight to bed. Thank you, everybody, for checking out In the Frick of the Night this week. Stay tuned next week when I'll talk about farting in front of Martin Scorsese. Hey everybody, welcome back to America. Enjoyed your company once again.
Hey, Dan.
Hey Millie. I'm sorry, I thought I was doing the closer alone this week. Well, hey, how you doing,
Good,
Millie?
good. How are you?
How you doing?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had a great time with Elke, Reid.
Yes.
And Ed Tyll.
Ed,
We learned so much. You know, broadcasting legend Ed Tyll. We learned so much about Florida. Thank you, Millie, for all your work.
You're welcome.
Next week, we got Jordan Gray. She's starring in a show called Transaction on Comedy Central. She's also won The Voice. I think she came in 3rd. You think she came in first. But nobody does research around here. So who the hell would know?
Right.
But check it out next week, every Monday. Welcome back to America. Strong Island Television.
Yes.
Be there.
Be there or be square.
Did
Do you want some cereal?
you make that up yourself?
I did.
And yes, I did want some cereal.
There's Fruity Pebbles.